Howdy, my name's Cloudy. Go back to the channel. Been a little minute. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry, but I have started my second channel, Cloudy Watch Party. Go check it out. It's where I'm gonna be reacting to, everything that pretty much has me curious. You know what I'm saying? Like mysterious islands, animals. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. You know what I mean? Today we got a video from Everything Always. Avengers 7 announcement. Bro, they already making
What's
Avengers
going on,
7?
guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman, aka All Fires. Okay, let me preface this entire video by starting off saying I am well aware we're not even to Avengers 5 yet. We're not out of the multiverse saga, but already we're hearing about this mystery Avengers 7, something that was rumored just days ago.
I gotta quit. We still gonna be getting I was gonna say Avengers. We still gonna be getting Avengers movies in the Mutant Saga? Cause I'll honestly be lit as hell, bro. But then I'll be wondering, like, what would it look like? And I'll be wondering, like, at that point in time, will we get, like, with Avengers 7 be the debut of the new actors that's gonna be playing, like, Iron Man, Captain, you know what I'm saying? But it would be dope to have some Avengers movies in the X-Men, in the Mutant Saga.
From industry insiders, and now it looks as though we might actually know what the project title is and what the follow-up story will be. It ties to something early in the multiverse saga, and quite honestly, if they pull it off, it is the perfect Avengers follow-up to something like Secret Wars. Keep in mind, I'm still holding to there will be an Avengers Secret Wars somewhere in the distant future with the reprisal of Doctor Doom. In the meantime, let's talk about this latest update coming from an industry insider indicating the title of Avengers 7 is Judgment Day and what it means for the storyline. But first, if you could grab the subscribe button, we do daily Marvel content on the channel. That's all we do. If you're into that kind of thing, want to keep up with everything Spider-Man and Avengers Doomsday, hitting the sub button is the best way to support us. Plus, we're going to do a couple more rounds of the Spider-Man ticket giveaways. Don't worry, if you already grabbed your tickets, you can use them for the Odyssey or any other movie coming out this year. I heard there's a couple of good ones. If you want to win, all you got to do, be a subscriber, leave a comment. We'll announce a winner in the next video, and we're going to do a couple rounds between now and when Spider-Man actually drops in theaters, so don't worry, there'll be plenty of chances to win. Let's go ahead and jump into the video. Okay, so for some quick context, and just about a week ago, Alex Perez, industry insider and contributor over at the editorial The Cosmic Circus, posted a massive update for what's going on with Secret Wars, Doomsday, and beyond in the MCU, and one of the things that he mentioned was an Avengers 7. Well, now we're hearing less than a week later from the Twitter scoopster James Mack. You guys can follow him over on Twitter at JamesMackWL. While we remind you that no scooper gets everything right, James actually has established a pretty spot-on track record in the short amount of time he's been around, so take that as you will. This is the latest coming from him via his Patreon. Apparently, an Avengers 7 Judgment Day title is in the earliest stages of development over at Marvel Studios, but at least far enough along at this point where they've already started drafting some concept art for the film. Now, working...
Bro, how are y'all already on Avengers 7, bro? And bro just said we don't even have Avengers 5 yet, bro. How are y'all this far? See, they already got a plan, bro. They probably now just looking for certain actors, new and upcoming actors probably, so they don't have to pay them as much type shit. But this is crazy, bro. How are y'all this far ahead? Y'all need to start dropping something, bro. Y'all need to start dropping some TV series or something like that, bro. Because it don't make sense to me. How are y'all this far ahead and we ain't got that many projects?
Way backwards through this update. I know the very natural inclination for a lot of you will be to say, isn't it way too early to be putting up concept art for Avengers Judgment Day when Secret Wars isn't even out yet and it's at the end of the next saga? Well, not so fast. The Avengers Secret Wars concept art that came out, that was from an official Marvel artist for Marvel, even though the Russos claim it wasn't for them, that just proves how early it was being generated. That was from years before it leaked, and Avengers Secret Wars is still a year and a half off, meaning if they are truly only running the next saga through 2032, that's coming directly from Kevin Feige, we at this point are only 6 or 7 years off. And it's perhaps possible that they have artists working that far down the road because, let's face it, you can build to a movie much better if you know what movie you're building to and what you're trying to accomplish there. And that's a luxury I don't think Marvel Studios has ever had.
That is true.
They knew they were going to use Thanos. They didn't know exactly how. They were putting it together as they went along. They had amazing success in the Infinity Saga. Maybe not so much so far with the Multiverse Saga, but all indications have been reports across the board where the Russos will stay on, oversee the next saga. Kevin Feige will lessen the amount of movies and TV shows they're doing to increase his bandwidth and quality control the projects. Marvel Studios will be a lot more deliberate with the franchises and characters they're choosing to focus on. That all adds up to a studio that is, for once, and now 2 decades into the mix, finally figuring out how to plan ahead with a shorter timetable and a more reasonable work-through process that includes figuring out the movie they're working towards instead of just winging it along the way and then retroactively trying to move all the pieces on the chessboard, which right now I've been very transparent at the channel. The only real 2 sticking points I have, and I've even been able to look past one with Robert Downey Jr. coming back to play Dr. Doom. They literally could have cast anybody else, including Cillian Murphy, and I've gotten over that. But I am just a little concerned that Doom will be ushered in, rushed through, all of a sudden got Emperor Doom, and his story will be done in under a calendar 14 months, say, in over 2 films, and Doom is just not the kind of character that you put out to the curb for good and have a one and done, or should I say 2 and done. That's why I could see an Avengers Secret Wars maybe 5 or 10 years down the line. In the meantime, Avengers 7, if truly Avengers Judgment Day, means that they are going to revisit where we left off at the end of everybody's favorite Marvel movie, and clearly the best Marvel movie during the Multiverse Saga, in the Eternals. Look, we just mentioned this the other day. Say what you will about that film, it's one of the best cinematographies that they offered up during the Multiverse Saga, but the huge downfall was everybody was clamoring for another Winter Soldier, and in the afterglow, or should I say the afterwake, of losing Tony Stark and Steve Rogers, and what we got was an art house film focusing on characters that were never really that popular in publishing in the first place, and well, you see how it looks in the rearview mirror. That being said, it doesn't mean that there weren't some interesting through lines, and Avengers teaming up with the X-Men and the rest of the MCU cast now in the 616 to battle against Celestials, specifically Arishem the Judge, and quite honestly, where they left off with Cersei is just when that storyline was getting interesting, with Dane about to pick up the Ebony Blade, and with the off-screen appearance, but the first MCU appearance, of Mahershala Ali. So, look, one of the only ways Marvel Studios is going to continue to make Avengers films, I should rephrase this, because Disney, the machine that they are, as long as they own Marvel Studios,
this is a story that makes everyone cry.
They will always continue to make Avengers films. That's why every time someone hints at no Avengers and that becomes a title, I always chuckle because look, at this point, the billions are just continually getting invested into that franchise multiple times a decade. There's no turning around now on that. We will be getting Avengers 14 and 15 and 16 and 17 probably again when I'm a much older man. That to say, the only way they can really continue this process of the MCU without starting to put out the exact same films over and over again is find ways to reinvent the story that they're telling at the end of the saga. It sounds like they have a roadmap for doing just that with Doomsday and Secret Wars. Thank God to not make it Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. But there is a real possibility here that the next saga won't simply focus on mutants, that it'll focus on the cosmic side as well. We already know they're reprioritizing a project in Nova. And then I think about probably my favorite team from all of Marvel in the Annihilators. And just when it feels like maybe Marvel won't have anything else to do, we're about to see Avengers versus X-Men, then Avengers plus the X-Men plus the Fantastic Four teaming up against Doom, having a whole new lineup of cosmic characters like Beta Ray Bill, like Gladiator and Silver Surfer, alongside some of the terrestrial Avengers. Again, they won't all make sense to be fighting against the Celestial, but having that team up, the lineup could look way different. The whole MCU could look way different with the introduction of a Midnight Suns, possibly having an X-Force on top of the X-Men. I think there are multiple ways for Marvel Studios to continue accessing some of the stories, say like a loose interpretation of Judgment Day, knowing that the MCU always does it their own way with loose elements from a lot of different storylines, but there are plenty of stories still left in Marvel from the publishing and comic side. And in fact, it's funny, as soon as I heard this story and started working on this video, I already figured out how I think that might end as a saga and what hero might be at the forefront of that and exactly what he might do in order to beat Arishem. And I'm just saying there is a lot of really fun stuff left. So really, it's up to Marvel how creative they want to be in general, because there are still plenty of stories to draw from. Judgment Day would be an amazing next Avengers film. And really my only caveat as I was thinking about this, and one thing I'll mention at the end of the video, is Avengers movies have just become too much of an event to have a one-off, and I don't believe that we would get one Avengers Judgment Day But consider, they are cutting the saga in half. This isn't a rumor or coming from an industry insider report. It's not even from a Hollywood trade. It's from Kevin Feige. 2028 to 2032 is the length of their next saga, or at least what they've planned out over the next 5 years. Could it be, instead of doing back-to-back Avengers films, they do Judgment Day in 5 years, and 5 years after that, as we approach the end of that saga, they do Avengers Secret Wars Part 2, and we still have Doctor Doom in the mix. Maybe he'll be around the whole saga. We'll have to see.
Man,
Look,
so
in the X-Men 97 cartoon, which, by the way, guys, season 2 has been an absolute banger. I know we haven't been doing the watch parties when it releases at 3 in the morning. I just can't. It wrecks my entire life. But
that makes me think that that makes me think they gonna choose a very young actor to play T'Challa's son, so he can grow up. That's what I would think, unless they plan on T'Challa's son becoming older when we get to Secret War. Because like I was talking about in the last video, we saw the comics with him getting with Storm or whatever. So maybe that is further along in his story when he's like a lot older, you know what I mean? Because like he was saying, they do just call him T'Challa, so maybe it's been his story the entire time, you know what I mean? That is crazy that they plan this far ahead, bro. And I'm excited that they're gonna keep on doing Avengers movies, because Avengers movies hit, bro. I just wonder if this Avengers movie is going to involve, just like the ones we have now, the X-Men and all of them again. You know what I'm saying? And I really wonder who's going to be the main villain of Judgment Day. Is it going to be Doctor Doom again? Or is it going to be a whole different enemy? You know what I'm saying? But the fact that they got a whole game plan, that means they got something prepared for us, bro. That means they know everything they finna drop is about to hit. You know what I'm saying? They got a lot of confidence. But I really do hope they make TV series still, bro. Because it is some characters where I'm like, I think they deserve a TV show more than a movie. You know what I'm saying? But that's just my opinion. Y'all let me know, bro. Y'all hyped to see? Are y'all hyped to know that they gonna keep on doing these Avengers movies and never gonna stop? But do y'all believe some of these Avengers movies might not hit due to the fact that it might not make sense depending on where we are? You know